Jonathan Hunt, what's new in the world of children's literature this year?
We know that migration has been very much in the news today, and so we have some that are definitely very specific to the US-Mexico border, but we also have some that are very generic or general, and then some that speak to the Syrian refugee crisis or refugees in other parts of the world. So I thought I would just share a couple of those with you. One of those is Dreamers by Juji Morales. This is a story that's based on her own personal story. She married an American when she was living in Mexico. She had a son with him, and they moved over here to the United States, and she didn't speak any English. And this is a story about how they find this magical place that lets you borrow books for free, the public library, and how that public library is the one democratic institution that we have here in our country that really helped her assimilate. It helped her learn the language, and obviously it led to not just a hobby or a passion, but a career.
So I mean, first of all, you see the beautiful illustration. It's really colorful. And then you see the title Dreamers, so you might think it's a bit of a political book for children, but it sounds like the theme runs much deeper than that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's just kind of a coincidence that Dreamers is that very political term that we use for DACA, but it really moves beyond that. It's really not a very political type of book at all. So another one that we have, now this one is really interesting. So Duncan Tonophew is an illustrator that splits his time between Mexico and the United States. He writes in this style that's inspired by the Mixtec Codex, the Mixtec Indians in Mexico. And with this book, he has even played around with the format. So this book is called Undocumented, and it's the story of an undocumented worker named Juan who comes over, crosses the border, undocumented, and works here, and how he plays an important role in our economy here, and how he stands up for his rights ultimately. But the thing that's really interesting about this book is that you can open it and read it like a picture book, and then you can get to the end, and you can go backwards, or it opens up like that.
Oh, like an accordion.
Yeah, like an accordion. So this will probably be a headache for librarians and possibly teachers, that are buying this with their hard-earned money and want to preserve it. But it's a really terrific book, and it's really an interesting format. So I hope a couple people take a chance on that one.
Yeah, it's really nicely packaged. I think it'd be a great gift. But also, if a teacher were to pick it up and bring it into their classroom, how might they use something like this that is such a hot topic right now?
For older kids, and really even for younger kids, if you compare and contrast is a great strategy. So we could read one of these books that's really about US and Mexico, but then there are some books this year that were about the Syrian refugees. There was one called The Unwanted that was a graphic novel that was really good. Or there was another one called Illegal that was about sub-Saharan Africans making the journey across the desert and then across the Mediterranean Sea to get to Italy. That was also another graphic novel. So both of those were really powerful. And so by making it more a global conversation, that this might seem like a problem very specific to the United States, it's really a global problem that people all over the world deal with. Moving on to a novel, The Assassination of Brangwain Spurge is one of my favorite novels of the year because it's really a fantasy novel in the form of a satire. So this is a story about the enmity between elves and goblins. So Brangwain Spurge is the diplomat for the elves. He gets catapulted over into the goblin territory with an artifact to give to their ruler. So this is a book that I think more than any other book this year really speaks to what is going on in our society. So it speaks to the marginalization of people, the dehumanization of people. It speaks to fake news. It speaks to the lack of civility and political discourse. it just seems so attuned to what is going on in American politics and in our society.
Jonathan Hunt, thank you so much for sharing your recommendations with us, and they're all up on our website at kpbs.org.
Great, thank you. Thank you for having me.